Good morning, everyone. Tommy, Level Flight Simulations. Welcome to the channel. So I was flying yesterday. I was in the fly-by-wire A320, as you see here, and I was streaming on one of my social network areas, and I was asked by a young man to run through the process of what I do when I get ready for flight with the A320neo by fly-by-wire. This young man is a younger gentleman, and he's new to the flight sim community, so let's go ahead and dive right in so I don't take up too much of your time. So as you can see, the cockpit is cold and dark, and that's the way I start up every flight. Got my coffee, because we need that. First things first, I turn on my fly pad, get that powered up, and I'll import from SimBrief. So there's our flight plan. It gives us our weather, and this is going to come in handy. As you can see, I'm up in Toronto Pearson. The very next thing I'll do is I will go to our services, make sure I got ground power, get a jet bridge going, fuel, import from SimBrief, start loading that. Sometimes I do instant, sometimes I do fast, but we'll do fast, just for the interest of time. Payload right here in import from SimBrief. We'll also do that fast and go ahead and get that start loading, because we're going to need some numbers from here at the end of it. After that, I look around the cockpit and I go up to my main panel. Ground power on, left and right batteries on. All three adheres to a line. Crew supply of oxygen on. Seatbelts on. No smoking sign on. Emergency exits to arm. And as you can see, everything is starting to come to life. A little bit dim, but we can fix that just by turning up the screen contrasts. So we will get down into the MCDU. We go to the ATSU menu, AOC, initiation, and there we go. Now this will be all automatic as long as you have a SimBrief, active SimBrief, and GPS primary loss. You get that while it's aligning, and there it is, all my information. We'll go to the initiating, and we'll initiate the flight. And there's everything. My cost index, everything will self-populate. Now here's where it's a little bit different. You want to go to IRS, initiate, align on reference, and confirm that when it gives you the question. Excuse me. Return, wind and temperatures. Now, unlike the A320 from Phoenix, this you have to do on your own per page, whereas Phoenix will populate all your pages through all phases of flight. And that page is done. We move to the left. This is what we need. This is very, very important. Our fuel prediction, and we know our weights and our balances. So my block fuel for the flight, as I'm looking at my flight briefing, and this is a very, very short flight. I think it's only about 300 miles to Dulles. Not going to be a whole lot.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight
Naturally, my
attendants will be
first
coming to
officer
the
needs
cabin
to make
shortly
his
with a very
announcement.
important safety briefing.
But
We do ask that you give them
we
your
have
full, undivided attention as they review the
13.7
safety
pounds,
operations of this Airbus aircraft.
13,700
We
pounds
do
of fuel
appreciate
on
your
board.
business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Now, the young man that asked me to do it is from the UK, so I believe this portion for him will be in kilos. Now we need our zero fuel weight and our zero fuel weight center of gravity, which you are going to get off your fly pad right there. And I generally jot these down. Excuse me. So my zero fuel weight is 123.7. You can actually also round it up to 0.8. And our center of gravity is 32.4 or 32.5%. You can round up. I generally round up just to err on the side of caution. And then back to the MCDU. And we'll plug those numbers in. 123.7 / 32.4. And that's it. It's going to give you your takeoff weight, your landing weight, all of that good stuff. Your predicted landing weight, I should say. From there, I go to my flight plan. And as you can see, it's not a very big flight plan from Toronto to Washington Dulles, but there are arrivals and departures. So coming out, where will we take off? Now here's the big thing. Back to the MCDU. And we need to get our ATIS. If there's no one online on VATSIM where you can get a live ATIS, or you can go to datis.com. Our air pressure, so that's our altimeter setting. Our wind is at 190 at 6 knots with 5 degrees Celsius, and our dew point's at 2 degrees. They're kind of close together, so we could expect some clouds and some rain. Back down to the MCDU. I just double checking my pressure. So if the winds are coming in at 190, we're going to be taking off runway 15 left. Usually, I'm sorry, 15 right. Usually the outbound runways are for departure, and the inbound runways, the ones that are closer to the terminal, are for your arrivals. So we'll scroll up. Find 15 left, plug it in, and what standard instrument departure or SID are we using? According to my flight plan this morning, we're going to be on the rig use 5. So we just scroll until we find that. There it is, rig U5, and insert it, and that will populate in our flight plan. We can go ahead and get rid of the discontinuity. Oh, not allowed. So we're going to take off manually flying runway heading, and then we'll have to make our turn towards Dutson. Now, coming into Dulles. What runway shall we take? Back to the your weather. The winds are at 190 at 5 knots. So we're going to sign for ILS. Look at that. We'll take 19 center just for the sake of time. And we're going to be on the Maple 3 arrival. And where do we transition? What waypoint are we going to transition onto our arrival? And that's going to be Hoosier. And insert it. Make sure it all jives. Now while in flight, I match these times. And the flight plan is taken care of. Go to our performance page. 1F is our takeoff flap speed. Now, they don't give you a flex 2 temperature or your engine out for the fly-by-wire. And there are formulas to do it, and that's a little bit involved. I just want to get it to the point where this young man can get started and take off so he can learn. Double press, it'll automate populate your V1, VR, and V2 speeds. V1 is where you can still safely stop on the runway in case of a failure. Your VR is your rotate speed, so that's at 130 knots, and if anything happens, any sort of flight failure, you're going to have to take care of it in the air. And V2, the 134 knots, is your point of no return. That's when you're going to be in the air and you're going to have to problem solve. So with that, that is pretty much all that I do to get myself ready for pre-flighting. As you can see, it aligned. Now, according to the departure, I will look at my charts, and the departure that's calling for coming out (2,700 feet). And like I said, I'm not going into the craziness of putting the charts and all in there just yet. There will be a second tutorial coming out probably within the next couple of days. So with that, beacon light on, wing light on.
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
Now we fire up the APU. Master switch. Start the APU. APU bleed. And get our probe and window heats on so they don't ice. And as you can see by the bottom ECAM screen here, our APU is firing up.
Once again, we'd like to welcome you on board. Your safety is our top priority, so we appreciate a few minutes.
So they're going to go ahead and do a flight announcement.
You can follow along with the safety information card in your seat back pocket. So you fasten your seatbelt and insert the
And you'll see right here your APU generator, and it'll tell you what percent it's running at, how many volts, and how many hertz it's going to start pushing. Once you see this start to drop, you will see this starting to go. And there we go, we're at 115 volts. Your bleed is on at 34 psi, and we're at 400 hertz. So she is up and running. Back to the fly pad, we are ready to push, and like I said, this is a very quick overview. This is not meant to be professional in any way except for me talking you through it. Services, we could get rid of ground power, and we could retract the jet bridge, and that will automatically close your cabin door. So here's your jet bridge right here, and there it goes. Pushback. Now this does have its own pushback feature, and you can control the speed, but if you have GSX or any other pushback feature, you can use that as well. I just used the default. And it tells you, enable it, and this will shut off any other pushback feature that you do use. Allow the tug to get connected. And I'm just going to do a very short push and go through the engine startup procedure. Tug is attached. Parking brake is off. Let's go ahead and start. As you can see, we're slowly moving forward, backward. Make sure your idles are at throttle. Down here, ignition to the right, and engine number 2. Pull and push the lever forward, and we'll watch. Oh, the fuel pumps. I am sorry, everyone. I forgot to turn the fuel pumps on after fueling. So all 6 of them, make sure you turn on, because you need fuel. And we'll go back to the ECAMs. And as you can see, N2 is rising. N1 will start to climb at about 24%. And you will go ahead and hear it. exhaust gas temperatures are rising. 8% N1, and you're going to see it says available. You hear that click, you do have ignition, and there it is, available. That is a good start. Same process number 1. You see N2 start climbing, your second high pressure fans in the engines. And here go your primary high pressure fans, N1. So it may take a little bit. I will be posting this on YouTube for the young man under the videos, probably within the next half hour. And like I said, this is a quick way to get the fly-by-wire A320neo start. And in the meantime, I could go ahead and stop the pushback. Parking brake on. And go ahead and get rid of the tug. You heard that clicking noise, engines available. Number 1 is now considered a good start. Now a couple other little things. Our parking brake is on. Our ignition is still on, so we shut that off to normal. Predicted wind shear, even though it's inoperable in the development, to number 1, so it's the pilot, and auto. Turn on our transponder. I generally leave it at all traffic rather than above or below. And TARA.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Taxi lights on. 1 click. And here's the most important part. You'll get a fuel imbalance if you leave it running. APU off. APU bleed off. It will always illuminate that it's available. But your APU is now shut down. And you can confirm that by coming to your pedestal. APU. And you should 0 PSI bleeding, and you should start to see this fall off. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, and me, I hope this helps you out, but that is the quick and easy way to get your fly-by-wire, so that way you can start practicing your taxis and stuff like that. And then me, I would like you to watch the tutorial video that I have posted on reading ground charts and other chart videos to be posted soon. So this is Tommy from Level Flight Simulations saying thank you and have a great day.